wonder, will we ever see each other again?
God willing, we'll all meet again in Spaceballs 2. The search for more money.
Hi everyone, I'm the Broken Meeple. Win or lose, I'm going to be honest with you, and today's a special Beyond the Base Game video because we're taking a look at something pretty dang recent. In fact, it only got released last week, and as soon as I got a copy of it in the post, thank you for the review copy, I'm basically able to just churn this one out and get it reviewed nice and quick. This is the Arkham Horror LCG Chapter 2 core set. Now, to give you a bit of context, essentially what Fantasy Flight have decided to do is they haven't disregarded all the old content, they're just changing the environment in which the card pull happens. So we now have what is effectively the new current environment, which is going to be this core set and all future releases. We've got some starter decks on the way, we've got special campaigns that are essentially free acts, so the same length as the one in the core set, and that will do, and there'll be more cards besides. That is the current environment, which they recommend that you play as. It's basically the jumping on point for someone who wants to get into the game now, given that there's God knows how many expansions that have already come before. However, you can still make this compatible with all your previous releases in the past. A few little cards have had the odd little reprint and stuff, but you can find details of those online. But the idea is that you are, if you want, able to create the legacy environment so you can use all your past releases, all the stuff I've got in the folders there, along with the stuff that gets released in the current environment, and basically just create your own funky combos, you know, whichever way you want to do it. But the primary goal of this is basically to say, look, we know there's been a ton of content before. You want to join this game? Well, now here's your jumping on point. The question is, does it do a good enough job, particularly compared to the previous core set, in doing that?
How hard can it be?
So the core set has a similar format to the previous one that came out. You've got a rulebook and a campaign guide. You've got the Mythos bag, which you fill up with the tokens that are made out of cardboard. You punch them out. You've got 5 different investigator decks. So there's 4 of them here. The other one is in there for me to showcase later, but basically 4 or 5 different investigators to use, and they are already pre-built. You can upgrade these with experience throughout the free act campaign, but for the most part these are as they are prepared. And then you've got the different campaign cards. So these campaign cards, they've all got dividers to separate out all the individual sections, and basically this will comprise a 3-act campaign that you will play through 1, 2, 3, and you'll basically complete the scenario, and you can combine this with other scenarios that you're doing, like other campaigns, or just make it your own standalone 3-act session. You've also got some cards to upgrade the different cards in your player deck. So these will cost you experience that you get between sessions. This will basically be your way of improving your deck, leveling it up. And just to showcase that this box does actually fit sleeved cards. You know, I've heard some people complain it doesn't, but I beg to differ, sir. You know, they seem to fit in there pretty dang easily. I use Sleeve Kings. These are pretty decent premium sleeves. You know, they're about, say, 60% thickness, so they're not, you know, 100% is Mayday premium. These are 60%. These are more than decent for sleeves, and they seem to fit in there just fine. And I'm pretty confident that if you were to sleeve every single card, you'd be able to fit it in there. Although, let's be perfectly honest, guys, who does sleeve every single card in their Arkham Horror LCG collection? You only sleeve the cards you're playing with. I don't even sleeve the encounter cards. There's no point. You only handle them so much. The only thing you need to sleeve is your own player deck. That's it. I guarantee you the cards will fit in the box, okay? It really isn't that much of a problem.
It's an ingenious solution to a problem that should never have existed in the first place.
Tokens-wise, you've still got the same sort of tokens you had before, so you've got cardboard brains and hearts and such, except this time, and I'm very glad they've done this because I didn't have any of these before, they have connector tokens. So you will have seen people, pro players, playing with little connector tokens that basically go between 2 locations. Let me take a couple of tunnels here. You place them in between and it shows you that they're connected. They're very useful to have during a game, and typically you had to buy them from a third-party seller to get the ones that you needed. Well, now you've got a bunch of them in the box. They'll store just fine, or you can baggy them up. That's all right. And phew, finally. The one little problem I do have with the box, I mean, there's enough cuppy holes to hold everything, and I like the material they've used. It's you know, creates quite a decent amount of friction, but not enough to keep the cards in a stable condition all the time. I mean, when you bear in mind, look at this. I've got most of the cards are in here, right? There's still a bit of space there for more future content. What they don't include is anything to prop the cards up with. Yeah, there's no polystyrene blocks, there's no, padded things in there. So unless you want these cards to slide down like somebody, slithering into their bathtub, you kind of need to put something in there to hold them in place. I've had to use basically, spare baggies or something to do it, or you're just going to have to find your own padded material to shove in there until more content comes out. But yeah, slight overlook there. I'm surprised they couldn't just box up a couple of little polystyrene blocks or whatever the material you use. Just basically some foam blocks could have gone in there. Wouldn't have cost very much, and it would have solved that little problem. So it's a minor annoyance, but as you can see, the cards have just slid down there. It's a little bit annoying that sort of thing wasn't thought of, when they actually made the box.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Overall, the components are fine. Decent enough cards, decent enough artwork, cardboard tokens for everything. A bag that you can actually reach a hand in. I mean, this bag may not look particularly huge, but my hands aren't exactly the smallest hands in the world. I can easily reach in there and pull out several chaos tokens at once, so it's more than adequate. I think it's bigger than the one that they used to have. I have seen some very titchy ones in the past. All well and good. Then you've got the two books. Firstly, the Rulebook. Wow, this is an upgrade from previous. This really is a much better rulebook. It's not 100% perfect, but it is pretty dang good. I mean, the setup and the scenario setups now have picture flow charts here. Something I really do approve of when you have games with setups. And then it goes through all the different things that you want for different skill checks and what you do in the mythos phase and that, except it's got more pictorial examples. So you can, there's a decent amount of text, but there's some more pictorial examples in here. It's got a good skill test timing chart for when fast action windows appear and stuff, something that's always useful to have. Some more cool artwork as normal. But then, unlike the previous rulebook, it goes into much more detail than it needs to. For starters, you've actually got a glossary at the back for some of the other terms and conditions, something that is normally reserved for the reference book that was kept on the side. So I like the fact that they keep it all in one big rulebook. That is much better. But also, and they didn't have to do this, they did not have to do this. They give you a link to the Grimoire Online, which is basically the source for seeing about erratas and reprints and I forget what they call it, is it not the tarot list? I forget what they call it, but it's basically the list of cards where they go, you're not allowed to have these in your deck if you want to play in hardcore mode or something. But what I also particularly like when they talk about the class archetypes is they explain the starter decks and they explain the strategies for each one. So you have got Guardian, you've got Seeker, Rogue, Survivor, and Mystic. It tells you how the archetype features as a class. It tells you what the character strategy tips are. It gives you the composition of their deck, so you can actually reconstruct it if you were to take it apart later. And even gives you some tips on how to play them and how to upgrade them with other cards in the campaign. This I always like in games. Give us a little bit of strategy tips. They don't have to be made for veterans, but just something to get people started, to have people, kick off enjoying the game and having fun. It's a pretty comprehensive rulebook all round, and it's much better than having the previous rulebook, which was kind of ho-hum, and having the reference book on the side. It's much better that it's now all condensed in one book. Granted, there are some keywords in here that are slightly new. I'm not even sure that, I don't think doomed was in the previous set, so I'm not sure, but maybe it was. But there's one or two words here that I think are new to this edition. But a lot of the more common words like massive, fast, hunter, aloof, alert, retaliate, revelation, spawn, surge, free action triggers, action types, they are all in here with an iconography guide on the back without having to check a separate reference book. Now, granted, as they release more content, they'll probably have to deal with keywords as and when, but that's part of the parcel of the course with an LCG. The campaign is called the Brethren of Ash. This is a 3-act campaign. It gives you a separate book. And don't worry, I'm going to be very minor on the spoilers front here, okay? But basically, 3 acts. So it gives you Scenario 1, Scenario 2. You can upgrade your cards in between, and there's multiple ways for the 3rd scenario to end. This is actually not a bad little campaign, actually. This is better than the original one was. Now, It does have a slight similar problem to the original one, but it's more noticeable in solo mode than it is with multiplayer, and that was the difficulty spiking. The first scenario is a bit of a cakewalk. The second is very action intensive, which means that if you're not playing a character who can move around quite quickly, you're going to suffer a lot in that scenario, particularly if you play solo. And the game does not give you tips or any special rules to play true solo, which is a bit of a shame. There is that information online. I think you can use these boons that give you extra actions and stuff, but when it tells you what difficulty you want this to be on, when you're making up the chaos bag, play this on easy if you're playing true solo. Fact. Do not play on anything harder. Trust me, this game will absolutely own you if you try to do that.
And we will win!
I do like the fact that these free scenarios are still pretty cool. You've got the first one that's a bit of a cakewalk, but it sets up the mood, it's good thematic. The second one has a bit more story included, but it's very action intensive. You're going to multiple locations and uncovering different people, so you know that's going to require you to move around fast. And then the third scenario is effectively finding and dealing with the big bad, much like in the first scenario. The first core set. This one is definitely more doable though. I mean, I played it solo first with Scarborough Trish, or Trish Scarborough. What's her name? Trish Scarborough, yeah. So the rogue person in this played true solo on easy mode, went through the whole campaign. I ended up winning it at the end, but it was still tough, and Trish is very good at moving around a lot. If I didn't have Trish, I have a feeling I'd been doing a lot worse. But I like the fact that I was able to complete it, and complete it with the good ending on true solo. There are multiple ways that this last scenario can end, which is a cool thing. It's not just a one-shot wonder. And there's certainly a bad ending. There's certainly a good ending, but there's also a different type of ending. Is it good? Is it bad? It kind of depends on your perspective. But I do like the fact it's in there, and I'll say no more on the subject with that one. But this is a cool little campaign. It uses a boss called Elokos, E-L-O-K-O-S-S or something. It's basically, it kind of looks like a weird sort of tree on fire or whatever. It's a birch tree that's like on fire and has eyes all over its branches and stuff. It looks really cool. It's an awesome picture, and she's kind of referred to as the Queen of Ash. I knew jack about this boss before going into this campaign. I mean, I'm not an Arkham Horror aficionado. I don't know tons about the lore, but we've played Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror, all the Minikon editions, and all the other LCGs, and it's like, oh yeah, you've got Azathoth, and you've got Cthulhu, and you've got the Yeti, you've got the, one of my favourites, the King in Yellow. I really like that scenario. You've got the Spider one, which is still gives me nightmares to this day. You've got all these very classic Arkham Horror villains. I've never seen this one. This Queen of Ash, Elokos, I don't think is ever featured in any of the other Arkham Horror games. If she has, please tell me, because I'd like to know where, in case I missed it. But it's a pretty cool adversary to go up. I mean, it's a very straightforward adversary, but it's basically, yay, there's loads of, cultists, it's all about fire spreading, and let's sacrifice everybody to the fire. I mean, it's pretty much what you'd expect it to be for an Arkham Horror death cult. It's pretty cool. It leads to some very cool imagery on some of the cards, and the campaign is a decent one for a starter set. Yes, there have been 8-part campaigns that probably give you more story, more involvement. This is a very simple campaign, but there are still multiple ways a scenario can play out. You have got a bit of variety in terms of what cards will come up, who's going to be the big bad, and how the last one can end and such. Not so much the first scenario, but, there's still some choices to make in between the campaign scenarios. Like, do you wish to do X or do you wish to do Y? And they will both have consequences. So it's a decent campaign for a starter set, and I think it is better than the one you got in the original. It's a cool new one. And again, gets its own book, proper book. You don't have those annoying fold-out sheets or whatever for each one like you do with the booster packs and stuff. It's nice that it's just a condensed book. I've played through the campaign, I've enjoyed it, it works nicely true solo. You just really need to play it on easy mode. It's definitely, I think, gearing you more to playing this either two-handed, which I know some people do, or even three-handed. There are some people I know who do that, but also maybe to play it multiplayer. I mean, I think this campaign would sing with a 2 to 3 player setup. Particularly, I think, two-player. Two-player in this, I think, would be pretty awesome to do. But suffice to say, I've only played this true solo, so I'm giving you my perspective on that front. So, overall, it's a pretty nifty set. If you just want to add this to your original card pool and just combine everything together, then fine. It's maybe a little pricey for that, but you are getting 5 new investigators with decks, you are getting some new level up cards, and you're getting another campaign in there. So it's not too bad from a cost perspective. But if you are new to Arkham Horror LCG, and you want to jump in fresh, not care about any of the old content before, you want to just say, you know what, that's done. Don't care, I'm going to stick totally to what's this and the new environment going forward, you can. And I do recommend this for it. You know, it's kind of rekindled a bit of my passion for Arkham Horror LCG going through it from this perspective. You know, I did not combine any of my old stuff with this. I played through the starter deck, I played through the scenarios with a starter deck as constructed in the box. I didn't throw in any old content whatsoever, and I had a good time with this. So I think new players to this game are going to enjoy it as well. But be warned, Arkham Horror LCG, there is still that chaos bag randomness. If that's going to put you off, then it will put you off. And believe me, this is the weak element of the game for me. I do wish there was a slightly better way to do this system. But that being said, I tend to play this true solo on easy mode, so the chaos bag doesn't quite feel so punishing as it normally would, and I get to enjoy the scenario and, you know, have the scenario kick me about rather than dumb luck with the chaos bag. And even on easy mode, you can still get your butt handed to you with that chaos bag, alright? It is luck of the draw after all. But you know, from a scenario perspective, from 5 investigators are pretty varied in how they operate. You know, there's plenty here for the new player to get involved with. It's better than the original core set. Overall, I'm very impressed. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 overall. It's not perfect. There's some blemishes here and there, and it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but it is a core set, so it is giving you enough to, you know, get stuck in. And even though there are multiple things that can happen in the scenarios, I don't think this is a campaign you're going to be playing over and over and over again. I feel like once you've seen how it plays out once or twice, you might be kind of done with it and you'll want more content. So it's not a perfect core set, but I do think it is better than the original one and definitely the jumping on point. If you're brand new and you just want a core set, grab this one, it will do you nicely. So that's it for me on this episode of The Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, then thumb it up here and thumb it up on YouTube as well. Let me know your thoughts down below as a new player and a legacy player. Do you like the core set? Do you like combining it with old decks? Or do you just like playing it as it is out of the box? Let us know your thoughts. Get them in the comments below. Until next time, remember, it's only a game, and I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple video. Take care, everyone.